you and your book are the reason that my wife tolerates my obsession for Bitcoin. It took her a few years to understand the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. Now I've heard her hold her own in conversations with her friends and colleagues. And, she can articulate it very well. Yes. She's much smarter than me, by the way.
Yeah,
but
I have the same problem with my wife. Is much smarter than me too.
but
just impulsively bought $20 worth of Bitcoin on PayPal. Right, that was my first moment, and then I had this wave of shock. Oh no, this is a scam. I'm going to lose $20, and I'm going to have to explain to my wife why I lost $20. So that night, which in hindsight sounds weird, but the emotion,
we dropped $20 on lunch here
exactly.
around the corner.
But at the time, it was a real feeling. Okay, because I don't think my wife has any trouble with me spending $20 on something that I want, but wasting $20 would be a conversation.
So it was just to stop you there.
Yeah,
you said you did it on PayPal.
Well, because
was PayPal still was PayPal selling Bitcoin at that point?
They had just started that day or something.
Was that what year was that?
2020 or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's like, look into Bitcoin. So I didn't look into Bitcoin. I just bought some, and then I was like, oh no, I need to look into it.
Yeah.
And so that night, my son's in the bath, and I'm on bath duty, and he's splashing around, and I'm literally just glued to my phone, watching videos, learning about Bitcoin. And who the hell knows what he's doing, right? He's still alive because he's moving, but I'm just all right. And really, what I did
Thanks for letting us know about that.
Yeah.
Right?
So to
this could have been a much darker story than
to this day. He's still alive. So I'm sitting there just watching all of these videos, and really, truly, it was from just a sort of a how does it work mathematically? How does it work from a computer science perspective? And I just went sort of deep, and obviously that night, and then into the night, and then the next day, and all of us.
Did you have one of those I can't sleep moments?
Yeah, I did. And just oh my God, this has such implications, and all of these things, right? So I got a conviction for it relatively quickly, just from sort of here's the math problem that Bitcoin solves, and here's the computer science problems that Bitcoin solves. And then, it was day 2 before I learned that there was a 21 million cap on it. You know what I mean? It's oh my God, that's true too. Okay, geez. And so, really got a conviction for it, and wanted to learn more and wanted to keep learning. It was such an interesting sort of puzzle to think about. And that was the beginning of it. Right. And then, the book comes about because I kept clicking on stuff. And the more I clicked on stuff, you go try. All of a sudden, there were things ads popping up on my YouTube, video about hey, do you want to live in a bunker? And
okay, so the algorithms have now targeted you as a survivalist.
Exactly, right? So it's this is kind of weird, right? So you just kind of go down there. Wow, a lot of the stuff that people are saying about Bitcoin on, let's say, YouTube or Twitter or anything like that, okay, I agree with that stuff, but they're saying a lot of other stuff too that doesn't really jive with me. And I know that if I want to get my friends and family and people I care about into Bitcoin, there has to be some other language. There has to be other ways to teach it to them that can resonate with them. So that was the origin behind the book. And I was like, well, if there's a book that I would like to read but doesn't exist, I guess I have to write it.